Nothing else to report. The Health, Safety, and Sanitation Committee, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled and nothing to report.
Thank you. Public Properties Committee, Mr. Shields.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Properties met on February 27th. We met again this evening for a short time between Council and Finance. We hope to have a meeting scheduled soon to discuss the city pool. Hopefully at the next meeting I'll be able to announce the date of that meeting, but no other report this evening.
Thank you. Special Legislation Committee, Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled and nothing to report.
Thank you. Streets and Sidewalks Committee, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled, nothing to report.
Thank you. And Water Utilities Committee, Mr. Colzar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I made an announcement at our last meeting that we're going to try to have a meeting scheduled by now, but it's still in the works, so hopefully by our next council meeting we'll have a date set. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Request for council action. We have several for the Finance Committee. We have 1441, accepting OPBA fact-finding report. 1442, payment over $3,000 for Chippewa roofing. 1443, expenditure over $15,000 to Montrose Ford for the parks. 1444, expenditure over $15,000 for Montrose Ford for Service Department. 1445, expenditure over $15,000, Montrose Ford for the Water Department. 1446, expenditure over $15,000 for Montrose Ford for the Engineering Department. 1447, expenditure over $15,000 to KR Architects Engineering. 1448, final legislation, ODOT, US 42 and State Route 3. 1449, accepting easements for Forest Meadow drainage improvements. 1450, budget amendments. And 1451, RFQs and RFPs for architect for court facility design. Reports of municipal officers. Mayor Hanwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just two updates for customers, different ways to pay their utility bill if they choose. One is ACH, which stands for Automated Clearinghouse. Customers can sign up to have the payments withdrawn from their bank accounts to avoid late fees and mail charges. And the forms are available at the finance window here at City Hall. And then online bill paying is also available by credit card, and sign up is on the front page of the city website, which is www.medinaoh.org. The new city website is up and running. Some adjustments are still being made, and staff are being trained to upload the information. We're working diligently on that. By all means, if there are concerns or suggestions from the public, let us know. As I mentioned at the last meeting, some old browser versions were having difficulty with the contrast of the text, the background, and the photos kind of overlapping one another. So we've modified the website that it recognizes the old browsers and adjusts it to make it more readable. So each day we're trying to add more information. The building official replacement process came to an abrupt halt. We were doing a background on our initial candidate, and those did not result in him accepting the position. So we reached out to our second choice, who had taken another position with another city. So we're having to start all over again. I did reach out to the two townships, however, during this lull in the process to see if there may be some interest in creating a regional building and planning and zoning department, as we do with safety forces, to see if there aren't some more or additional efficiencies and better customer service by creating that. So those discussions are ongoing. And then just kind of a preview, the National Day of Prayer events are being scheduled and planned. I'm serving on the planning committee. This year it'll be Thursday, May 1st. Again, there'll be a mayor's prayer breakfast at Williams on the Lake from 7 to 8:30 a.m. A noon prayer service on Public Square. Unless the weather's not conducive, then United Church of Christ will host it, which is at the northeast corner of the square. And the evening prayer service will be at Cornerstone Chapel this year from 7 p. to 8:30 a.m. or 8:30 p.m. So the times are the same, just a.m. and p.m. And all the events except the breakfast are free. The breakfast is $15. And tickets are available at most of the local churches, as well as our office once they print them. We don't have them quite yet, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Durham, Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have my usual reminder to all city residents that city income tax filings are required. We have a total of 4 opportunities to get free assistance with the forms. One of those we already had. It was Saturday, March 1st. We had pretty good attendance there. The next one is Wednesday, March 12th from 1 to 8. Then Wednesday, April 2nd from 1 to 8. And finally, we have an opportunity to help with the forms on Saturday, April 12th from 9 to 4. All those are at the Medina Community Recreation Center.
Thank you. Mr. Huber, Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Thank you. Chief Baraduzzi, Police Chief.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Thank you. Ms. Rice, Economic Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few notes for council and the public. The City of Medina is leading a planning project to create a downtown strategic redevelopment plan. The project, coined Imagine Medina, will evaluate the current and future redevelopment potential for various market segments in the downtown, identify target development areas within the downtown that are currently vacant or underutilized, and develop a vision and strategy for these areas that will respond to opportunities in the regional marketplace. We are asking the community for their input at an upcoming public open house meeting on Thursday, March 27th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. here at Medina City Hall. We are also asking them to share their thoughts and ideas on our online project website, and the website address is www.imaginemedina.mindmixer.com. And then also for the members of council, we have also invited you to a stakeholders meeting. I think all of you received the invite either in your mailbox here at City Hall or also via email. So if you could let us know what date you're available, if you're available to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mendel, Planning and Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. My report this week is that we have boards and commissions this Thursday at starting at 5 p.m. We have a Historic Preservation Board, Board of Zoning Appeals, and Planning Commission. Additionally, we have a special BZA meeting Thursday, March 20th at 6 p.m. for one project. So those are public meetings and hearings and are available, and the agendas are available through the city website. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Painter, Fire Chief.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, Recreation Center Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. Just a reminder to patrons that the field house is closed on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. until March 22nd. This is due to our basketball leagues. We have over 1,100 kids registered this year, and it's been a fantastic season so far. That's K through 12th grade. Also, our Just Kid Stuff garage sale is Saturday, April 12th from 9 a.m. to noon. This is a great opportunity to buy toys, clothes, sports equipment, and different things for children. Last year we had over 60 vendors attend. Admission between 9 and 10 o'clock is $5, and then from 10 to 12 p.m. 10 to 12 is only $1. Parking will be in lots D, E, and F, and everybody will enter through the back doors of the MCRC. And lastly, our next Rec Advisory Board meeting is Thursday, March 20th at 7:30 in the morning at the Rec Center. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Worley, Park and Recreation Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week we started advertising for the arborist position. I anticipate filling that vacancy by the middle of April, right before spring. And I want to thank Councilman Colsar and Shade Tree members that helped at the Home and Garden Show with our Shade Tree Commission booth.
Thank you. Mr. Patton, City Engineer.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have a project that is out to bid. The rebidding of the interior recoating of the South Court Elevated Water Storage Tower is started this week. We will accept bids through the end of the month until April 1st when they will be open. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Piccoli, Service Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thought winter was going to be over, but I guess this week we're expecting some more snow. Kind of looking forward to the first high grass complaint, believe it or not, the first time in 13 years. Additionally, I want to welcome Andy Bendel to management. We promoted him from water MEO to water foreman this week, so welcome aboard, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you. Notices, communications, and petitions. We have a liquor permit not to object to the issuance of a new D2 and D3 permit to Mark Claus LLC, doing business as Castle Noel at 254-260 South Court Street.
Move not to object.
Second, not to object.
Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Unfinished business, we have none. Introduction of visitors. Members of the public will be permitted the opportunity to speak on any issue or concern which pertains to the city during the portion of the council agenda devoted to introduction of visitors. All comments shall be directed to the chair, and a reasonable time limit of approximately 5 minutes will be imposed. If there is a group, please appoint a spokesperson. Speakers should approach the front right microphone and state their name and address so it can be entered into the minutes. Members of the public will be afforded the opportunity to comment on other portions of the meeting as determined by the chair or by a vote of the majority of council members present. Is there anybody that wishes to address council? Erica?
Thank you, Mr. President. Erica Graffine representing the Auditor's Office. I have 2 reminders tonight. The first is that the high school students in the county, they completed their contest for the seals, and the winners are on our website at medinacountyauditor.org. There are a lot of different categories, so I saw 12 winners, and those are the seals for the scales and weights and whatnot, the gas tanks. And then the last reminder is we have 21 days to the end of the period to file a complaint against the value of the property, and that can be done online at this point and faxed as well as turned into the office. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to address council? Introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 35-14, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for competitive bids and to award a contract to the successful bidder for the 2014 concrete street repair program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Patton.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is our annual project where we do individual slab repair throughout the city on concrete pavements. This year we are asking for $600,000. That's the most we've asked for. The last couple of years has been $500,000. We did get hit pretty hard this winter with, as you can imagine, the weather. There's a lot of work to be done.
Thank you. It probably was those plow trucks, somebody in the service department.
That's
back there.
true.
I'm not sure who. Is there any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Ordinance 35-14 passes 6-0.
Ordinance 36-14, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for competitive bids and award a contract to the successful bidder for the improvement to the Medina City Railway.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Patton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The city owns about a 3.8-mile railway that goes north and south within the city limits. We are responsible for maintenance and repair. We haven't had an improvement project since, I believe it was 2011. This project will replace some rail, a lot of ties, new ballast, and so forth. I'd like to remind council the funds for these are being paid for by the rail users and the city. Jointly, we form a consortium to generate revenues for the upkeep and maintenance of the railroad.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Ordinance 36-14 passes 6-0.
Ordinance 37-14, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for competitive bids and award a contract to the successful bidder for the 2014 concrete pavement joint sealing program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Patton.
Thank you, Mr. President. This, again, is an annual project. This is a maintenance program for our streets. Doing joint sealing, crack sealing on concrete pavements extends the life of those streets. It's kind of like changing the oil in your car. This year we're asking for $75,000, which is similar to what we've asked for the past couple of years.
It's a big oil change, but any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Ordinance 37-14 passes 6-0.
Resolution 38-14, a resolution naming the walking trail from South Broadway Street to Southport Drive, the Champion Creek Multipurpose Trail, and dedicating a portion of the trail to Harold Thorburn. Thorburn, sorry.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Worley?
Yes, this is to name the multi-purpose trail that runs along the Champion Creek. the Champion Creek Multi-Purpose Trail. We plan to install signage marking the trail, including the distances. The portion of the trail between Guilford and Springbrook, as you stated, will be dedicated to Harold Thoburn. He was very active with Medina Shade Tree Commission, Kiwanis, the County Park District, and the Medina County JVS. This section of trail, we plan to install educational stations in different interpretive zones, and the entire path will eventually be lined with trees reflecting Harold's vision.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mr. President?
Mr. Colzar?
Just real quick, I want to thank Jansen for all his hard work to get this in place. I know we've talked about something similar to this for quite some time, and I know Mr. Thoburn's wife will be happy that we're finally moving forward on this, and it just gives us a chance to reflect on some of the people that make a difference in our community. And he had a great impact on the street trees around our city and other impacts as well. So I think this is a great thing for the city. And I again thank Jansen for getting the ball rolling and getting this going. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the resolution?
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Resolution 38-14 passes 6-0.
Ordinance 39-14, ordinance authorizing the mayor to, and a correction here, consent to enter to consent to a sublease agreement with Flight Services of Medina, division of Olson Products, Inc., and Private Hangars MMA, LLC, and Ohio Limited Liability Company regarding the lease of the land at Medina Municipal Airport.
Mr.
Move to
President,
approve.
Second.
you
Mr.
make
Huber.
the passage of this ordinance subject to my approval, and then I'll get it rewritten and squared with
Okay.
Kathy.
My motion includes subject to final approval of the law director.
My second includes the same.
Any further discussion? Mr. Huber, anything else to add?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. This is just a good little summary here. The city of Medina owns the Medina Municipal Airport out on Route 18 and is leased to Flight Services of Medina, and they're entering into a sublease agreement to build additional hangars for airplanes out at the airport. The lease agreement provides that the city of Medina has the right to consent to a sublease agreement entered into by the tenant of the city, which is Flight Services of Medina, and that's what we're doing here, authorizing the council to enter into that sublease agreement and consenting to the terms and conditions of that sublease agreement. So that's for everybody out there. That's kind of what we're doing with this one. Is there any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Ordinance 39-14 passes 6-0, subject to law director's final approval.
Ordinance 40-14, ordinance amending ordinance number 208-13, passed December 9, 2013, amendments to the 2014 budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Durham.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the appropriations necessary for the railroad project that Mr. Patton discussed back when we passed ordinance number 36-14.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll on the ordinance.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Ordinance 40-14 passes 6-0.
Ordinance 41-14, an ordinance accepting the report and recommendations of the fact finder for the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, representing the patrol officers and the sergeant division.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
the emergency clause has been requested. I move to add it at this time.
Second, adding the emergency clause.
Discussion on the emergency clause and the ordinance. Mayor Hamel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Over the last several months, the city and the union for the patrol officers and the sergeants have been in negotiations and ended up in fact-finding, which is a process where they both offer their recommendations and supporting documents. The fact finder then issues a report, and it boiled down to four main components. One was wages. The fact finder found that the wages should be 2% in retroactive to January 1st, 2014, 2% 2015, and 2% 2016. The sergeants had asked for a increase in shift or in supervisor's premium because they get a percentage above the highest paid patrol officer. That request was denied. There were numerous plan design changes in the healthcare, increasing the out-of-pocket maximums, increasing the employee co-pays, increasing the deductibles, which in the long run, which will save the city some money in the rapid increase of healthcare costs. The third was the city requested to convert the patrol officers and patrol sergeants are on 10-hour shifts. There are more efficiencies to the city by having the officers on 8-hour shifts because we gain a shift per person per week for the entire year. The fact finder denied the city's request to change everybody, but did order that the contract allow any future hires from April 1st forward to be converted to 5 8-hour days versus 4 10-hour days. And last but not least, there was a request to increase the maximum amount of sick time payable upon an employee's retirement from the city. Currently, it was maxed out at 360 hours, and the fact finder ordered that it be increased to a maximum of 400 hours, so an increase of 40 hours. The reason for the emergency clause is the fact finder's report come out last Wednesday. The city is obligated to take action on it within 7 calendar days, and failure to take action results in conceding to it. So I respectfully request council to accept the fact finder's report. Thank you.
Thank you. And my understanding is also that the patrol officers and the sergeants division is also required to act within 7 days of the issuance of the fact finder's report.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
So they'll be voting on it also.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. President,
Commissioner Simpson?
I will have to abstain from this vote.
Okay. Any other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the emergency clause?
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Abstain.
Coin.
Yes.
Motion passes 5 yeas, 1 abstention.
Any further discussion on the ordinance? Clerk, please call the roll on the ordinance.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Abstain.
Ordinance 41-14 passes 5 yeas, 1 abstention.
Council comments.
Mr. President?
Mr. Lamb.
Thank you. Just let me briefly comment, and Mark made, Councilman Colasar made reference to it, but to thank Jensen for the work he's done in putting this tribute, really a nice, beautiful tribute together for Harold Thoburn. Harold Thoburn was clearly one of those individuals who fits the kind of a cliche, but there are people that come along that demonstrate the difference one person can really make. And Harold was one of those. He was clearly one of those people. He worked long, hard, and very quietly to plant, trim, and care for shade trees and trees throughout the city. He did it with the city. He did it with various organizations. And over the years that he worked, he made a huge difference. And what's going into the park that the Parks Director has put together is just a lovely tribute to a man who cared so much about trees and really improved our community for us. And he cared so much about trees that you would see him weekend after weekend. I could look out and see him on a tree lawn, trimming trees and working just on his own. And the gift that he gave us is what you see. You know, you'll see it in the spring when the trees leaf out and you go down the road, you'll see the work that Harold Thoburn did and what's being planned for the trail at Champion Creek is just something additional, I think, to help recognize the kind of work that he did and to pay tribute to people who participate in a community and make that kind of a difference. And I am very happy, thrilled that he's getting this kind of recognition, and that people will then be able to see that he had a real hand in improving the community that way by planting trees. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other additional council comments?
Mr. President.
Mr. Colasar.
I don't want to pass up an opportunity. I see all the scouts here, and every year we do Earth Day cleanups and creek cleanups. We don't have a project set yet, but a date would be April 26th. We try to put the Earth Day event the weekend before, the weekend after Earth Day, which is April 22nd. So if you can, put the 26th of April on your calendar, and we might construct some trails. We usually go out and clean up the park, but I was thinking this year we'll actually, we do make an impact when we clean the park, but, I know there's some little minor trails that I've talked about with the Parks Director to put in, and that's coming out, bringing a shovel and just making it as natural as possible. But just keep it in mind, April 26th, there'll be further announcements on it. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional council comments? Hearing none, the meeting's adjourned.